Hey everyone, Pilates Pete here, coming at you with a short video from POGO Physio. So today we're going to look at some Pilates basics. So these are some points that are going to help to maximize the safety and effectiveness of our workout every time we come in for a session at POGO Physio. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to go over our basic spinal positions, our correct muscle activations, and just some postural points as well to remember each time that we come in. So starting off with our spinal positions. So in Pilates, we've got two spinal positions. One is our neutral spine, and the other is our imprinted spine. So just a quick description. So neutral spine is when there's a small natural arch in the lower back, the hips are flat on the floor, and the tailbone is down on the ground. Then an imprinted spine is where we draw the bones of the spine down towards the floor. The hips will roll forward slightly, but that tailbone is still going to stay flat on the floor. So what do these positions actually look like? Well, let's demonstrate. So lying down on your back, knees are bent, feet are flat on the floor. So as I said, we want to make sure that we have a small natural arch in the lower back, our hips are in neutral, and that tailbone is flat on the ground. So we want to make sure that the hips aren't rolled forwards or aren't rolled backwards at all, otherwise we're going to put too much strain on the lower back. So bringing those hips back into neutral, tailbone is flat on the ground. You should be able to get your fingertips just in underneath your kidneys, just a small gap there. Okay. Then our imprinted spine is where we draw the bones of the spine down towards the floor. The hips will roll forward slightly, but you just want to make sure that you keep that tailbone down on the ground as well. Excellent. So we use an imprinted spine when we have the legs in tabletop position. So tabletop position is where we bring the legs up off the floor, so those knees are over the hips and our legs are parallel with the floor. Fantastic. Okay, so moving on. So the most important muscles in Pilates are our deep abdominal muscles and our pelvic floor muscles. So they help to flatten the stomach and to protect the lower back. We need to make sure that those muscles are activated before we start every exercise and throughout the workout as much as possible. So we refer to those muscles collectively as the T-zone. Why do we use that term? Well, it's just a bit easier than saying transversus abdominis and pelvic floor. So we refer to those muscles as the T-zone. So how do we visualize this T-zone? Well, to visualize the T-zone, we think of a letter T drawn across our front. So the horizontal line of the T is going between our hip bones, and the vertical line of the T coming from your pubic bone up towards the belly button until it meets that horizontal line. So that's our T-zone across those 2 points. So to activate the T-zone, we do it in 2 stages. So the first is to draw up on the pelvic floor muscles, and the second is by drawing the hip bones towards each other and flattening and scooping across that horizontal line. So if you want to do this along with me while I'm talking through it, so to activate the pelvic floor muscles, we think of the same sensation as stopping from going to the toilet or from breaking wind. Then the second activation, we think of drawing the hip bones towards each other and drawing that horizontal line in towards the spine. Great. Okay, so just take your first 2 fingers. You're going to look for the bony part of the hip bones and then just moving them in slightly. You should feel a small bit of muscle underneath those fingers. Great. Then if you cough out slightly, just like that, you should feel a slight muscle activation underneath your fingers. So that's your transversus abdominis activating. So that's what we want to feel for when we draw across that horizontal line. So another way to think of it is by putting on our Pilates trousers. So drawing up on that pelvic floor is doing up the zip of the trousers, and then to tighten across that horizontal line, we think of putting on a tight pair of trousers. So we're drawing in that horizontal line towards the spine, drawing the 2 sides, doing up the button, holding that in nice and tight to keep those trousers on. So that's our Pilates trousers, so zipping up and hollowing across there. Excellent. Okay, now moving on, we're just going to look at our breathing and then 2 postural points just to finish off. So just a few minutes, guys. Bear with me, just another few moments. All right, so in Pilates, our breathing is always directed into the rib cage, not into the abdominals or the belly, or else we lose that T-zone activation that we spoke of just a minute ago. Okay, so just going to lie back down now onto the mat. So coming back into neutral spine again, placing your hands on the outside of the ribs. So when you're breathing in, take a deep breath in, feel the ribs expand, and then as you breathe out, You want to draw the ribs towards each other and draw those ribs down towards those hips as well. So that's going to stop that back from arching and the ribs from popping out. So you want to, again, take a deep breath in, feel the ribs expand. And as you breathe out, drawing the ribs towards each other and drawing the ribs down towards the hips. And the last 2 points, with our shoulders, we just want to remember to keep our shoulders down and back away from the ears. So not hunching up, but nice and drawn down and back in a V shape in the middle back. And with our chin, we want to have a slight tuck in the chin towards the chest. Not a big tuck so that there's a strain in the neck. We're just keeping the head down and a small nod as if you were saying yes. Just to keep that neck in correct alignment. If you're still feeling any strain in the neck, you can place a cushion or a folded towel in underneath the head as well. Okay. Great. Well, that concludes our video today. Make sure you watch this video a couple of times even before you come in for every session. I look forward to seeing you for a session soon and getting some great results with Pilates Pete and POGO Physio.